we're back here for the speed build, and today we're going to go ahead and create this one called Sugar Plum Avenue. So it's kind of a funny name, and it's basically just a build kind of just using purple really, because as you kind of know, I do like to use purple in builds a little bit too much, and I was kind of thinking, well, I always kind of just do like a purple bedroom or something like that, but I never really do it on the exterior, so I really just wanted to try it out to see what it would look like, and that's what we're doing in today's build, and it actually turned out really nice. It's probably one of my favourite builds I've done in a while. It's probably just because the thumbnail turned out really nicely, and that's probably why I think that. But anyway, so if you want to download this for yourself, it is up on the gallery now. My origin ID is RealThomasTV1. And I'll also go ahead and put a link in the description to the online gallery, if that's an easier way for you to download things. And yeah, so this is built on a 40 by 30 lot, and I placed it here in Willow Creek. This is the neighbourhood where the Goth family lives. It's kind of opposite their house, and then on the other side of the road. And I think there's 4 bedrooms and probably 3 or 4 bathrooms as well. I know there is 4 sorry, oh my god, I'm messed today already. I know there is 4 bedrooms, but because I built this at the beginning of March, I can't remember that much about it, so that means I don't really remember how many bathrooms there are, but I normally do a similar amount of like bathrooms to bedrooms, so if you want to know the correct amount though, it will be there on the gallery. And yes, so we're just going around now doing the exterior kind of wall coverings and stuff. Now as you can see, I'm actually using paint as the wall covering, which I don't normally do on the exterior. I don't even remember doing it at all really, apart from like modern builds and stuff. And I always think it's a little bit odd because it's got like no texture to it at all, and that's why I always go for like stone and siding and stuff like that. So it's also nice just to experiment with different things as well in this build, so that's what I did there. Now, I know this build is very kind of purple themed, but once we get into the interior, again, it does have that purple theme running throughout, but I kind of changed it up in the bedrooms a little bit, so it's not all the same, because I thought maybe if I did it completely purple, it might be a little bit too much, so, I kind of switched it up a little bit on the interior. And then also as well, with this kind of exterior wallpaper, since it doesn't have any texture to it, like I was just saying, what I did is that I kind of combined 2 different tones of it, on the kind of bottom floor and then the top floor, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And then I went ahead and used all windows and doors from Cats and Dogs. As you know, I kind of just love that pack, and I think I overused those windows and doors a little bit too much in my builds, but they are really nice and they kind of just fit nicely with this build, so I went ahead and used it today. And yeah, so I've also got a little garage area there, as you can see, and like normal, I did go ahead and change that into a gym area because I feel like it is a little bit more of like a better use of the space, I suppose, so that's what I did there. And I don't think I actually took a screenshot of the garage. I'm just looking back now at my screenshots of this build and I don't see the garage one, so maybe I did forget to do that, but I'm pretty sure I did go ahead and make that into a gym if I'm not mistaken. And then the backyard area is a little bit cramped because it is a smaller lot than I usually build on, so the backyard area is a little more cramped, but it's still got everything you need in it. It does have, a decently sized pool. It also has a greenhouse as well, I think, and also a little gazebo area with like outdoor seating and stuff. And then for the landscaping, as you can see, it is pretty simple, but it does go with that purple theme as well. So I'm just going ahead and doing that. And also as well, this landscaping is a little bit different because I don't normally do purple kind of themed landscaping for some reason. I don't really know why. I normally stick with like neutral colours in landscaping, so it's also nice to switch that up for a change. And then the Jungle Adventure Ivy, I had to use that because that works really well with that because it has a really nice vibrant purple colour swatch, so I went ahead and used it here too. And then I went ahead and used the planter boxes from Get Famous. I've been using those a little bit too much, but I think kind of everybody has because they're just really nice and have a lot more colour swatches to the actual kind of frame of the planter box than the base game ones, so I always tend to go for the Get Famous ones. And now we're just working on one of the bathrooms, so you can kind of see what I was talking about before, where the interior isn't completely themed around purple. There are differences. The main one probably being here in the kitchen, as I went for like a totally not purple. It's all kind of like cream and neutrals and stuff. So that's what we're doing here, and the kitchen is actually pretty decent sized kitchen actually. I normally put in double ovens sometimes when it's a bigger kitchen, but this one doesn't because it just sometimes it doesn't kind of line up right and like centers on the wall, so sometimes I just don't do that. But also as well, it's kind of totally unnecessary. Does anybody play with double ovens? Because I know well, a few people do, including me, put double ovens in the builds, but I've never actually played with double ovens at the same time. I don't know if your Sims can actually use 2 ovens at the same time. I don't know about that. Anyway, so we're just going around now putting a little bit of clutter in the kitchen. I do say that I don't put clutter in my builds, but the kitchen is like the one exception to that because I do like to put a little bit of kitchen clutter, and I just do that really like not doing clutter. I just like to keep things a bit more simple in my builds, and also just to keep it more sort of like, well, it's also the reason why I don't do kind of themed bedrooms. I keep most of my bedrooms in my builds neutral, so you can take any family you have and hopefully it will fit any one of my builds. So that's why I do that, and not really any personalized builds. Sorry, personalized rooms like kids rooms and stuff like that in my builds is for that reason. So this is also the little dining room area here, as you can see, and I kept it fairly open plan because, as you can see, it kind of just goes right through into the kitchen. And I don't know how that looks though, having the very kind of neutral creamy colours in the kitchen, and then you walk through the room a little bit more and then you've got the very dark themed kind of dining room. Maybe it would look better if I actually kind of separated those off into 2 rooms, because it's actually just 1 room there. I don't know, but if you want to change that, it doesn't really bother me too much actually, but if you want to change that, then feel free to go ahead and do that. And yeah, so now we're just working on the, well, we're about to go ahead and work on the living room. We'll get back to that in a second, but it is actually a fairly large living room. And this is one of the bedrooms here. I know I'm kind of all over the place in this build. I know I kind of say this way too much because I feel like everybody's heard me say this, but just in case you don't know, the reason that I go ahead and just do builds in random orders, so we haven't really finished everything with the exterior and we're already doing some things on the interior. The reason I do that is to keep it more interesting both for me as I'm building it, so it kind of, you know, just keeps it more interesting instead of doing the same thing over and over again, and it also keeps it a little more interesting for the speed build video itself, because what used to happen was in bigger mansion builds and stuff, I used to do all the bedrooms last, which means that a good portion of that video for the rest of it at the end would just all be bedrooms. So just to keep it a little bit more interesting for both me building it and you watching it, I'd just keep it, you know, in random orders. So this is the living room here that I was just mentioning before, and as you can see, it is fairly spacious, so it does have like a little seating area here, and then I also go ahead and put a chess table in just behind, just as something else to do really. I don't always put chess tables in my builds for some reason. I don't really know why I do that, so you know, this was just to kind of switch it up a little bit, and there's nothing kind of like totally unique about chess tables. It's not like a abnormal thing to have in Sims 4 speed builds, but I just always tend to forget it for some reason. And I'm actually just thinking back now about that garage that I was talking about earlier. I may have actually not even done anything with the garage. I'm sure I've done that before in a few builds where I just leave the garage completely blank, because it's kind of like sometimes the space might be too small to make it into like a gym, so sometimes I just leave it blank and then you can go ahead and decide what you want to do with it. So that's me of what I've done, because I'm looking at the timeline here and I can't even see the footage of me actually doing the garage, so maybe I did not do that at all, or I might have done it off camera, I don't know. Anyway, so we're just working a little bit more on that living room here, and we're going back to work on another bedroom. Now, as you can see, the last couple of bedrooms we've been doing here, such as that monochrome style one with that very light blue bed from Cats and Dogs, and this one here, they are not purple at all. And that again is just what I was saying at the beginning about kind of switching it up a little bit on the interior, just so the purple isn't too overpowering. And I know I was just saying before about not really doing any themed bedrooms. Well, sometimes there is exceptions to that where I may feel like doing, you know, a certain type of room. So for example, if you watch the Malibu mansion, which should have went up on Wednesday, which is actually today, I'm doing this voiceover, but later today, so it might not be up here, but that's what's coming if it hasn't passed already. And in that build I did do like a pink bedroom, and that's just, you know, to go along with this thing that I say sometimes where I don't really do, you know, themed bedrooms, but sometimes it is nice to kind of, you know, just experiment a little bit. So that room that we were just working on, the blue one, maybe kind of go towards a teen for that, because it did also have a single bed in there, but of course if you want to switch that up, then feel free to do that once you download it. And yeah, so that's also another thing that people have asked me before. If you like download one of my builds and maybe you say one of the bedrooms isn't kind of that right for a particular sim you have, like maybe it doesn't fit their personality very well and you want to add things to it, then absolutely feel free to do that. But all I ask really is just not to re-upload it as your own on the gallery, so feel free for your own gameplay to switch things up. So we're just working back on the backyard area now, as you can see, and we're just going around putting this little greenhouse in. Now, I'm not actually too sure if those are functional, because I've done them for a while in my builds actually, and since we got the glass roofs update. And I know some people have told me that this does work as a greenhouse, and some people have said that it doesn't work, so I'm not really too sure actually. I've had people in the comments tell me both those two things. I'm not actually too sure which one's correct or not. But if you want to kind of maybe change that into an actual room, then maybe you'd have the space to do that. You could, if you actually want a greenhouse, then maybe you'd have to make the pool a little bit smaller, or even just take the pool out, because I know some people don't even bother playing with pools. I just always feel like I put them in every single one of my builds, and I don't really know why I do it, because I know it's not like a very, very common thing. I know like in America I see a lot of them, but for some people I think it's a little bit more of a luxury. I mean, I don't have one, but I mean, that's because I'm in the UK. I don't actually see a lot of those in the UK actually. But anyway, so if you want to take that out and have more space for other things, then feel free to do that. So now we're just working on another bedroom here, and I think this is the last bedroom, if I'm not mistaken. There may be one more after this, I can't exactly remember, but this one is the only purple themed one, because like I was just saying before, I wanted to kind of switch the colours up a little bit on the interior, but still have a purple bedroom, because that's kind of where I got the idea from for doing this build, is because I do purple bedrooms all the time, so I just went ahead and kind of, you know, wanted to do a build all around purple, so I had to go ahead and put at least one bedroom in that was purple. And now you can actually see we're all working on the garage. I don't know why I thought I didn't do it for some reason, but that's what we're doing here. And also as well, you can see a laundry basket there. I did go ahead and put a laundry sort of area in this build. I don't know if I got it on screen, or maybe I just showed you a little bit, but towards like the back door, in that little kind of tiny little room, I did go ahead and put a little laundry section, which I don't do a lot of my builds actually. I used to do it all the time, but when I stopped playing with laundry, because I felt like there was a lot more glitches with the system than it actually worked for most of the time, so I just decided not to play with it that much in actual gameplay. Well, saying that, I don't really play the game that much anyway, because I'm always building, but when I do play, I don't really play with laundry anymore, so because of that, I don't really put it in my builds anymore as well. And I know not a lot of people actually play with it either, so I just tend to leave it out in my builds now. Sometimes if it's a mansion and I've got loads of extra space, then sometimes I will go ahead and put it in. But for this build as a one-off, I did go ahead and do that, but I don't think I've done it in a while actually. So now we're just working on the study here, which I believe is the last room of this build. I'm going to be heading on to the screenshots in just a second. I really hope you enjoyed. In the comment section down below, let me know about what you thought of this build. If you have any more suggestions for builds, anything else you want to see next on the channel, that'd be really helpful to hear. Leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't, and you can go ahead and download this from the Sims 4 gallery. My origin ID is RealThomasTV1, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!